All right. I kind of want to talk to Brandon in Arizona.
It's Brandon again. Hi,
Brandon. You're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about today?
Yeah. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Not bad.
Good. What do you want to talk about?
Anyhow, I wanted to, jump onto the topic of irreducible complexity, but
Okay.
I also wanted to, real quick, just address, because most times that I call in regarding prophecy, you always tell me to go back and look at, the former conversations, and and so anyhow, I've certainly done that, and I mean, your best rebuttal to prophecy being fulfilled is time travelers did it. So I'm just curious, what do you think would be the motivation of a time traveler to go back and fulfill prophecies?
Sure. So the reason why time travel was brought up is because that requires less assumptions. So if you had a mortal person who could travel back in time and do something, that mortal person, you've got one thing that you're needing to suspend your disbelief for, and that is that person can travel through time. If you have the concept of a god, you have tons and tons of other qualities that you have to suspend your disbelief for. You need to suspend your disbelief for any magic claims, universe creating claims, right? A time traveler does not need to create universes. Miracle claims, all loving, all powerful, heaven and hell, the different stories in the Bible, if you believe those, or other holy books, all of those are extra things on top. It takes less steps to get to time traveler than it does to get to a god. So that's why.
So let me just ask you this then. I mean, for you, just for you personally, I mean, as far as, would the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus to you, if we could absolutely prove that was a historical fact, an actual event that occurred, would that be proof to you that, Jesus is who he claimed?
Well, no, it would be proof that they died and were resurrected.
Or here's the thing, Brandon. If we came to a conclusion that yes, there was a person named Jesus around during the same time, same person that the Gospels are talking about, who was killed in the way that the Gospels say and rose again from the dead, that would be one claim. And we would be forced to accept that if sufficient evidence were presented. That doesn't back up anything else in the New Testament, let alone the Old Testament, because it's equally possible, if not more possible, that if something unexpected and unforeseen happened like that, there would be myths and mythology and legends that built up around that unexplained event to try and explain it, right? Oh, well, why did this happen? Maybe he's the son of God, right? Maybe God did it. Maybe there's a reason for this. So the assumption is not, if this is true, then everything else is true. That's an apologetic claim that is often made to Christians, that if this is true, then everything else is true. That's not actually the case when you're coming at it from a skeptical point of view.
And I would actually argue that that's not the case coming from the religious point of view. It's just a special case made just for that. But I don't think you would do that in your everyday life. Brandon, if I were to, could you pass me the book of Eric?
Yes. It burned me.
So if I were to, hand you this book and say that, in the front, the first page, it says 2 + 2 = 4. Does that mean that every other thing in that book is true?
No.
That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see your point. I mean, the Bible is far more in depth than that. But anyhow, it's I just wanted to see if what your position on that would be.
Absolutely. But, the thing is, I think that a lot of religious people think that we've got some kind of bone to pick, or that we're, intentionally obtuse because we don't like the idea of a God. No, the thing is the reasoning that we use doesn't lead us to that God. And so we're happy to share it and talk about it because exactly that, right? We're not going to, yell at you or turn our nose up at you. We want you to know why we think what we think.
Also, kudos to you for coming up with a question and saying, hey, I'm going to go to actual atheists and ask what their take on this would be. Because a lot of people on both sides just assume what the other person would say and use that as something to argue against. So good on you for calling in and actually asking.
Yeah, but you wanted to talk about irreducible complexity.
Yeah.
Could you give us the argument?
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Could you give us the argument? That way everybody who's watching, if they haven't encountered this, can follow along with?
Sure. I don't know if you're, familiar with irreducible complexity, just the idea that, what's his name? Michael Behe made the argument that, using a mousetrap as the example, that, if you don't have all of the working parts all at once, then the whole mechanism doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And that's where, my question is, what do you suppose would have evolved first when we're talking about, taking it all the way back to the single cell? What could have evolved first? Would it be the cell membrane or the DNA?
Well, so first off, let's, I do want to talk about the cell membrane and the DNA, because I think that is where you want to go, and we're happy to go there. I just want to add to your explanation of irreducible complexity. If people want to look up the teleological argument for the existence of God, you're going to get this argument.
Yeah.
This has been bounced back and forth. I actually recently did a video talking about this for an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah. You did with Dean Meadows, one of our frequent call-in shows. Yeah. He was actually here, and you guys went over this on your personal channel. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to the teleological argument, there are a couple of assumptions that I think are at the base of this. So you're using biology, right? Cell membranes and DNA to be your example, right?
Correct.
Okay. Could we break this down just a little bit further? Because I think we can actually get this entire idea instead of just the example. And the reason that that's important is we've had callers like Otangelo call in about the teleological argument as well. And he uses other examples. But let's get to the core of this. And the core of it is, as you said, that there's this idea that things are irreducibly complex. And so there's no way we could have reached the complexity of our evolution without just jumping straight to where we are. With some of the examples that I've heard.
Saying that, if you don't have all of the working parts, then the whole thing doesn't work. So, I mean, the question is like, with the human being, for example, what evolved first? Was it the blood? Was it the heart? Was it the brain? Was it the skin?
Exactly. How did this, exactly. Other examples were, what use is half an eye? Mm-hmm. You have to have the entire eyeball and optic nerve or else it won't work. What use is half a wing? You can't fly with half a wing. And so how do you, evolutionarily get to that? Right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So they grow together. They change together over time. So I want you to imagine that single-celled organism, right? And imagine that it has a single light-sensitive spot on it. And all it can do is determine whether or not there's light activating that spot. Moving toward the source of the light will move it closer to food. Put a second spot on it. Now we have a little bit of directionality. Increase that and you start to have the resolution of an image. Add color to that and you can differentiate between things. Every step along the way, even look at the nautilus fish. It's a fish that has an eye with no
lens.
Mm-hmm. So water actually just goes right into the eyeball. Isn't that amazing and creepy? But there's use for it.
Right.
The use is if you have that shape, you can tell where the light is coming from, where things are coming from, and have a better directional sense of, your environment. And so we can do that for all of the things. Blood did not evolve independently from everything else. Your entire body was changing. And it's still changing.
Some I believe certain jellyfish have vascular systems, but no blood.
Yeah.
So I think the concern here is the assumption that things have to work the way they currently work now, and the way they work now is the best way and the way that they were supposed to work. And yes, in order to get an eye to be able to see in the way that we see now, we need this kind of eye. But this just happens to be the way we see using the kind of eye that humans evolved. There are other kinds of eyes. In fact, there are eyes that are better than human eyes, and each eye has adapted for its environment. Our eyes do the best job for us, considering what we need to worry about, which is, determining, where food is, interacting with other people who look like us, determining what the shape of a face is, and like all of these things. Yes, we evolved to be able to do that with our eye, but that doesn't mean that this is the end goal of the eye. This is just how our eyes happen to work. And there are other eyes that are less complex, other eyes that are more complex, who don't function the way our eyes do, but still function for the purposes of what that animal needs.
Sure. So, but I mean, you would agree that modern advancements in science have discovered that, I mean, just even a single cell is far more complex than we ever imagined from the time of Darwin.
Brandon.
So, I mean, that's why I'm saying, if we go, just to the single cell organism,
Brandon.
and I mean, sorry,
Brandon.
Go ahead.
No, I'm disappointed. It sounds like you waited your turn to talk because you didn't respond to what we said, and what we said clued in a lot of what your response is. So it sounds to me, at least, like either you're disregarding what we said to repeat back what we told you, or I don't know, but that does not read to me as listening, Brandon.
No, I mean, I was listening, but I mean, we went, from the single cell organism to the eye, and that's where I'm trying to keep the subject as simple as possible, because, I mean, that's where, that's why my original question is what do you think evolved first? Would it have been the cell membrane or the DNA? Because the DNA can't survive without a cell membrane, and the cell membrane can't construct itself without the DNA.
Gotcha. I think that is a red herring. Because I don't think that's the thing that's keeping you from understanding and believing evolution.
If we could sufficiently answer that question, would you accept evolution, Brandon?
What was that? Sorry?
If we could sufficiently answer that particular question for you, would you then accept evolution as being true?
I mean, it would, I don't know that it would completely make me accept evolution, but I mean, it would, it would compel me to further investigation.
Cool. I think the best place for investigation there is a biology class. If you want to talk about, DNA and all of that, we can give you our lay understanding of it, but that is an example of a huge process that we are giving examples of. And so it really does feel like you're stuck on one thing, but the greater point that we're talking about, right? The irreducibly complex part of it. I don't think that DNA is irreducibly complex. I don't think cell membranes are irreducibly complex. Why? Because you can actually have the parts of a cell in protomembranes, right? You can have, what is it? Lipids, fats, be a place where things can gather and stay grouped. You can have RNA without DNA, mm-hmm. And you can also have, and I'm probably going to have to do a correction because I know that I'm getting to the limits of my understanding here. But small changes, small benefits are better than no benefit. And over time, those do add up. And
also, I do want to make it clear that nobody is saying there was a single cell that evolved at a single point in time. This is a product of thousands, if not millions or billions of these possible lives. One of them which came into life, maybe a couple. Like, this isn't once there was one cell and then it became one thing and then that thing became one thing. It is the result of a large enough body of potential life that coincidentally all of the things came into the right.
Well,
it's not as I'm butchering this, I realize, and this is why you should go to a biology class and speak with actual scientists if you want the answer to this particular question.
I'm a big fan of Dr. James Tour. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or not, but anyways,
But I can look them up. Actually, we've gotten to a place where I think we've moved from evolution into abiogenesis.
Yeah, that's a good point as well.
Your example that you're asking about sounds like abiogenesis and not about evolution at all.
Well, it's what I'm trying to get at is that it's back to the argument of intelligent design or evolution.
Right.
And that's where, this is where we have I think evolution has some serious problems. Even Dr. David Berlinski,
Brandon,
a mathematician.
have a really, really, really big habit of doing that. Just tell me what the problems are.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is we want to get to other calls, but when you do that, it just, what is your problem with evolution?
For me, to me, it's mathematically impossible. There's no way.
That's not. Got it. That is an argument from incredulity.
Well, even Dr. David Berlinski, who is
even Dr. David Berlinski, if he's making the point you're making, is making a argument from personal incredulity. Here's how that works. Are you ready? I don't understand X, therefore Y. So, Brandon, I don't understand exactly how a car engine runs. Therefore, I'm a great cook.
Yeah, well, I hear
those things are entirely unrelated.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take a look at the evolution claim, right? I don't understand. It seems mathematically unlikely, or I don't understand X, therefore God did it. That's not how you actually show your point. You need evidence in your corner, and evidence is not picking holes in other things. It's actually supporting your claim. Example, are you ready? We can talk about, do you believe in microevolution versus macro? I think that's a BS distinction, but just so that we can get through this conversation, do you understand evolution as a concept?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Does any of those pieces, right? Tell me one thing about microevolution that you think is true.
For me, my perspective is that I don't really believe in evolution, but I do believe in advancement of species. Of course, everybody conforms to their environment and all of that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Right. So over generations, the species will adapt to its environment. Perfect. What did that piece right there, adapting to your environment? Is that equal to no, but I don't understand this thing about the Bible? Because if I was to use your tactics, what I would say is, I don't understand the Bible, or I don't agree with the Bible, therefore evolution is true. That would be a terrible point. And that would not mean that would mean I still don't have any idea about evolution. I don't know how it works. And it's a useless jump. I don't understand, or I don't agree with the Bible, therefore evolution is true. No, that's not how you do it. So for you to say, I disagree with evolution, therefore my claim is true, is the exact same kind of reasoning. You're talking beside the point. Do you have evidence for intelligent design?
I think there's far more evidence for intelligent design than there is for evolution.
Show me one. Peace, Brandon. Show me one.
DNA. Just DNA itself. You know what I mean?
What about DNA, Brandon?
Explain to me how.
Oh, I don't know. Therefore, I'm right. Try again. What is evidence for intelligent design? Because you're giving me, and that was another argument from personal incredulity. You need to explain to me X, therefore, otherwise I'm right. Brandon, you need to explain to me quantum mechanics. Otherwise, I am right about all of my assumptions. That is not how it works. Well, you need to support your own claim. What is the support for your claim? You say there's more evidence. Give me evidence.
To me, it always goes back to Jesus. And
no. Go back to evolution. What is your support for intelligent design?
I mean, DNA is the support for intelligent design. A book cannot write itself.
Show me how intelligent design creates DNA.
Because it's, I mean, how would you explain a group of random?
No, don't toss it back. No. How does intelligent design create DNA, Brandon? Own this for once. You have the floor.
God
You've got the
created DNA. I mean, you know, I mean that's, you know, I mean, God created the code of DNA. I mean, even just using the word system already depicts.
Beside the point. No, besides the point.
Let's not enter into. Let's not do linguistic pragmatics today. I haven't had enough coffee.
So again, beside the point. So far you said God did it. Is that how intelligent design creates DNA?
I mean, I would say that's a serious thumbprint of
no, it's not. No, God did it is not an answer for anything. For anything. Let me give you an example. If you were to say God is able to create these things, right? They're able to create these acids. They're able to create these different building blocks. And through this, right? I'm asking you how God did it, not just that God did it, because that is a non-answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
how did God do it?
You want me to explain the mind of the creator in a phone call? I mean,
yes, Brandon, because you're using that as your response. Mm-hmm. You're saying it is more likely that God did it, but you just don't know how?
Or less.
Well, I'm
mathematically impossible.
You know, Jesus Christ claimed to be God manifest in the flesh. He claimed to be that creator.
Cool. And I claim to be your God.
Yeah, but you don't have prophecy to prove your claim.
I wrote the Bible, didn't I? I also wrote the book of Eric.
And rise from the dead to prove your claim.
Yes, I did.
Jesus never said anything about evolution.
No, and
ever.
And also,
ever.
If you're just positing claims, if you're just talking at people, and you're not asked to support your claim, then we can just do this all day. Mm-hmm. We can just do this. What I'm doing is showing you that it's pointless. It is pointless to just assert things without evidence. You actually need to show.
Okay, I'm trying to, kind of do like simple, like a mathematical process here, as far as if you take, claim number one, let's take it, to the foundation of my claim that there's a creator and we didn't just evolve from a bunch of random chemicals that somehow chemically coded DNA.
No, the somehow chemical.
Wait. Okay, so here is where I'm getting hung up. One of the many areas I'm getting hung up is there's a circular argument here that we're not addressing, right? You are saying, I am making a claim about a cause using the effect that I'm claiming proves the cause. You can't say God exists, therefore DNA, and DNA, therefore God. That's circular. So if you want us to agree that God is a viable option for DNA, you have to prove that independently of whether or not DNA exists. You have to prove that that's an option first and then use that as an example of DNA. But you can't go in a circle like that.
Or you can work backwards. You can work the other way too.
Yeah.
So you can study DNA, and you said that there's a thumbprint for God. And so if you were to trace that and actually find the mechanism by which your God created DNA, how that is involved, then we could get to prove the God. Because I think that's what you're trying to do.
Right. But you can't say
ultimately, yes, I'm trying to, I would love, I do care about you people. That's why, I would love to be the guy that leads you to Jesus Christ, to the real Jesus of the Bible.
I'm sure you would. And the funny thing is, Brandon, I got to tell you, I'm watching the comments, the live chat, and people are saying, why is Eric so mad? Brandon, I think you understand me. This is fun. I like this a lot. This is something that I could chew on all day long, and I have got no problem with you. I'm not angry at you. It's just I am excited about the subject matter.
Well, see, this is why my initial call to you is why I start at Jesus. To me, he is the foundation because the claims that he made, he claimed to be the Son of God. That would also imply that there is indeed a creator. You know what I'm saying? If he's the Son of God, then that would imply God exists.
It's the same thing that I harp on every time someone says that. Jesus never claimed to be God. John claimed that Jesus was God in one of the Gospels. That's it. So yes, I understand that you accept John as an eyewitness, but like historically and contextually within the text and people who have analyzed it, that's not what happened. But sorry, that's a pet peeve of mine. Continue, Brandon. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Real quick, though, I mean, this is why Old Testament prophecy tells you that all of this is going to happen, that God is going to become a man and lay down his life to fulfill the law as payment for our sins.
Where in the Old Testament does it say that?
Okay, hold on. Before we do that, can we agree that we've completely moved away from your claim? Because it sounds like we asked you to support your claim, and then you changed the subject.
Sure. Your claim. Yes, we've moved away from my initial claim of irreducible complexity.
Can we agree that the conversation changed when we asked you to support your claim?
Well, I mean, but you're asking me to, describe the mind of God in a phone call. I don't know I don't know the exact way that he created DNA.
Using DNA is a really poor evidence, isn't it?
Right. If you don't understand it enough to explain it, then why is it a linchpin of your belief system? That seems like you're just parroting something someone else has told you. If you can't explain it to us, then how are you explaining it to yourself?
I mean, I understand, what DNA is and how it works. You know what I mean? I'm not a biologist or a organic chemist like James Tour is, but I listen to a lot of these people. I study the information. I don't just believe what people tell me without me doing my own research. Okay. So, I mean, this is, sure. But I know all of the crap they tried to cram in our head in public school system.
Ooh. Okay. Can you please call in about that next time, Brandon?
Yes, let's talk about the public school system.
I would love to do that next weekend.
Well, just real quick though, wouldn't you agree though that, I mean, in the public school systems, the textbooks are saying that it rained on, torrential rains rained on the rocks for millions of years, and then somehow in this soup of chemicals, they somehow magically came to life.
Argument from personal incredulity.
Sounds like you've been listening to a little bit of Kent Hovind there, Brandon. I agree that there are things in the public school system, things that are taught, especially in history textbooks, that are garbage and that need addressing. We have such a horrible, whitewashed, savior complex version of history taught in our public schools that needs addressing. But that is a subject for another time.
And I would love to dive in and talk about that. But we are 30 minutes into a show and you're our first call.
Sure.
All right, Brandon.
All right.
Hey,
all right.
Thank you for calling.
We'll talk another time. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.
Take it easy, bud.
Yep. Bye-bye.